Unrivaled is about to unravel. I would be very surprised that numbers for year 2 are comparable to numbers from year 1. They have less star power. WNBA fatigue is at an all-time high. There's no Caitlin Clark. There was pretty much no Caitlin Clark sophomore year in the WNBA.
Did you just see what went down? Because this is absolutely wild. Unrivaled has just lost its biggest star, and somehow no one's really talking about how massive this is for the WNBA's future. Let's be real. When the 5 biggest names in women's basketball decide not to show up, that's not just bad timing or a scheduling issue. That's a statement, a coordinated move that's sending shockwaves through the league. By the end of this, you'll understand why this could either be the boldest power play these players have ever made, or the biggest misstep that just handed control right back to the owners. Because what's happening behind closed doors goes way deeper than a few stars sitting out a season.
Person that casuals might know from 2019, 2020 in Sabrina Ionescu from last year isn't there this year. You have WNBA champion A'ja Wilson, she's not there. You have Sophie Cunningham, who has made a mark in the minds of fans across the country. She won't be participating in this.
Now, listen closely to what he's saying. 5 major stars gone. But here's what everyone's overlooking. This isn't about rest or injury prevention. It's about timing. The CBA negotiations are happening right now, and the players' union needs leverage, something to remind the owners that they're not powerless, that they have real options. And what's the biggest threat they could use? A rival league that actually functions, one that pays more, respects players, and operates independently from the WNBA system. That's the nuclear move, the ultimate bargaining chip to force the owners to take them seriously. But here's the twist. There's one huge flaw in this plan.
This takes a lot of leverage out of Unrivaled's hand when it comes to negotiating for the new CBA. By Unrivaled's hand, I mean out of the Players Association's hand. If Unrivaled actually was able to draw top players, draw the top billers, bring a decent rating night in and night out to their games, have good engagement, sell merch, so on and so forth, money talks bullshit.
And that right there, that's the breaking point. Did you hear what he said? Money talks, BS walks. If Unrivaled can't land the superstars, can't pull ratings, and the faces fans actually care about aren't suiting up, then what real leverage does the Players Association have left? Think about it from the owner's perspective for a second. You're sitting across the table from the union reps demanding higher salaries, better travel and charter flights, the full wish list. And their biggest threat is, give us what we want, or we'll just go play for Unrivaled. But here's the catch. You know Caitlin Clark isn't playing there. You know Angel Reese and A'ja Wilson want no part of it. So as an owner, would you be intimidated? Not a chance. You'd probably laugh because their biggest bluff just got exposed.
If they're not playing it Unrivaled, then the owners still have no reason to fear Unrivaled. I'd argue that players sitting out from Unrivaled helps out the WNBA far more than it helps out Unrivaled. Imagine being Unrivaled, Nafisa Collier, Breanna Stewart. Imagine being part of the Players Association, the president, Nneka Ogwumike, and going to negotiations, going to the table saying, look, we have all the top superstars in our league still.
Now listen to those names he mentioned: Dana Evans, Cameron Brink, and Darica Hamby. Talented players, no doubt, but they're not needle movers. They're not the ones casual fans pay to see. And that's the harsh truth that's about to wreck Unrivaled's negotiating power. Because behind the scenes, there's a deep divide inside the Players Association that no one wants to admit publicly. On one side, you've got stars like Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart, who are literally financially invested in Unrivaled. They own pieces of it, and they need it to succeed because their money's on the line. On the other side, you've got players like Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson saying, why should we help build your business empire if it risks the league we actually dreamed of playing in? That split, that difference in vision, could end up tearing the players' unity apart from the inside.
Which goes with the theme, no handouts. We're not giving you our name, image, and likeness, for lack of a better term, so you can use our handouts to bargain, to go against the league that we've dreamed to play for. We're not giving you the ammo that you need to go potentially shut down the WNBA, to potentially go and argue and use Unrivaled as your own bargaining chip in a selfish manner, because that's what they're doing, hence conflict of interest.
Hold up. Because what he just said reveals the entire psychology behind this situation. No handouts. Think about that for a second. Caitlin Clark has spent the past year watching everyone else use her name to grow their brands, their leagues, and their platforms. Angel Reese became the face of Unrivaled's first season mainly because of the Clark versus Reese rivalry. That's what sold the story. That's what drew the eyeballs. The entire league rode the wave of the Clark effect. And now that same brand power, the one built around Caitlin's spotlight, is being used as a bargaining chip against the WNBA. The very league these stars actually want to play in long term. That's where the conflict of interest becomes obvious. Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart aren't just union leaders anymore. They're business owners, running a company that directly competes with the WNBA while negotiating on behalf of its players. You can't serve two masters. And the top stars like Clark and Wilson are finally realizing that.
A clear conflict of interest. A'ja Wilson, she's not letting that happen. Both years, she's not letting that happen. Caitlin Clark, not letting that happen. They've had enough time using Caitlin Clark's juice, using Caitlin Clark's clout to demand and ask. Angel Reese, it's not happening this year. Sophie Cut, no. Sabrina, no, not happening this year.
Both years. Did you catch that? A'ja Wilson has sat out 2 straight seasons. This isn't a one-off decision. It's a pattern, a statement. And here's where things get interesting. These players aren't naive. They understand leverage. They understand negotiation. So why would they give up the one weapon, Unrivaled, that could actually force the WNBA to pay them more? Because maybe they don't see it as leverage at all. Maybe they see it as a trap. From their perspective, if Unrivaled truly succeeds and becomes a real competitor, then what happens? Best case scenario, the WNBA boosts salaries to keep its stars. Worst case, the WNBA says, go ahead, play in your little startup league. And suddenly you've got 2 struggling leagues splitting fans, sponsors, and attention instead of one strong, unified one that's finally growing.
Well, with all of the shady business that's now coming out around the NBA, who's to say that Adam Silver didn't talk to some of these players behind the closed doors and say, here's a few $100,000, don't play in this shit. We don't need to give them any more leverage. Here's a few $100,000, we'll take care of it, don't worry about it, you don't need this. We can't have your stardom being lent out to all these different places, Unrivaled being one of them, Athletes Unlimited being one of them. We can't have that. You'll play in the WNBA, you'll do the USA basketball stuff.
Now this is where things get absolutely wild. There's a theory making the rounds that Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner himself, might have quietly paid off some players to not join Unrivaled. Yeah, as in, cutting checks behind closed doors saying, here's a few $100,000. Don't give them any leverage to use against us in negotiations. And before you dismiss that as some wild conspiracy, look at what's been going on in the NBA recently. The Luka Doncic situation, the Terry Rozier gambling investigation the FBI had to uncover, the Kawhi Leonard payment scheme allegations. The league's been caught in some shady business lately. So would it really be that shocking if Adam Silver made a few strategic moves to protect the WNBA's negotiating power? Remember, the NBA owns a big stake in the WNBA. They subsidize it, support it, and absolutely need it to succeed, but on their terms. The last thing they want is a rival, player-run league like Unrivaled dictating the narrative or stealing the spotlight.
Allegedly, possibly, push the Mavericks in a direction to get rid of Luka Doncic to a main attraction organization like the Los Angeles Lakers, and then, just by chance, they land on the #1 pick in Cooper Flagg. This is the commissioner of a league who got reports of Terry Rozier and analyzed the reports and did their own investigation, only to say, oh yeah, nothing's wrong here, but Terry, you're gonna have to sit the rest of this current season. Only for the FBI to swoop in and say, Have you guys been falling asleep at the wheel? What kind of investigation did you guys do?
That shady business angle actually explains the core of this entire situation. It's all about control. Who really runs women's basketball? Is it the league, the Players Association, or a small group of player entrepreneurs trying to build their own empire through Unrivaled? Here's where the psychology really kicks in. For stars like Caitlin Clark or Aya Wilson, who already have massive endorsement deals and secure spots as franchise faces, they don't need Unrivaled. They're not desperate for the money. But for the Players Association, trying to fight for better pay and conditions for everyone, Unrivaled was supposed to be their bargaining chip. Their look, we can leave anytime threat. Except now, the very players who gave that threat credibility, the biggest names, the true draw, have basically said, nah, we're good. And with that, the leverage the union thought it had just vanished.
This is a big blow when it comes to the negotiations. Yeah, Unrivaled is gonna be bad anyway, right? It's gonna be bad. We know it's gonna be bad. But thinking a step further, well, this really sets them back when it comes to CBA negotiations.
And that right there, that's the breaking point. This is the exact moment where Unrivaled's entire negotiating strategy collapses. Think about what just happened. The Players Association walks into the CBA negotiations trying to play hardball, saying, meet our demands, or we'll take our talents elsewhere. But the owners don't even have to argue. They can literally point to Unrivaled's roster and say, go ahead. Take your other option. Your top 5 players won't even play there. Your biggest stars want nothing to do with it. So what exactly are you threatening us with? It's a bluff that just got called in the most public way possible. And what makes it worse is that this isn't hidden information. Everyone can see who's playing and who's sitting out. The owners don't have to assume anything. They have proof that the players aren't united behind this alternative league power move. And once that unity cracks, the entire strategy falls apart.
Was supposed to be a league where only the best talent played, and season 2 has been nothing but a bunch of subpar role players. This is like a G League. This is like a G League, summer league type of field, type of environment. There's no star power, there's no pizzazz. There's nothing that makes you really perk up, stand up, get ready to go. And the problem that Unrivaled has.
Now listen to what actual WNBA fans are saying. Not trolls, not haters, real fans who love women's basketball. They're frustrated. They were sold on this idea that Unrivaled would showcase only the elite of the elite, but what they're getting feels more like a G League summer tournament. And that kind of perception, that's a death sentence for any league's credibility. Because once fans start mocking your talent level, once they start calling your elite league second tier, you've already lost the narrative battle. There's no convincing owners, sponsors, or even media that you're a real threat when your own fan base is roasting you online. And here's the fascinating part, the shift didn't happen right away. Unrivaled's first season had buzz. It had curiosity, energy, and most importantly, Angel Reese, who kept eyes on it. But now, in the second season, the novelty's gone. The top stars aren't showing up. And people are finally seeing Unrivaled for what it is, a well-funded experiment, one that the biggest names in women's basketball clearly don't want to be part of.
Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I appreciate the support. No handouts, says Caitlin Clark, A'ja Wilson, Sophie Cunningham, Sabrina Ionescu. You will not use us as pawns in your negotiations with the league. What do you think about that?
Let's connect all the dots, because this is where the full picture finally comes into focus. You've got a players' association desperate for leverage. You've got a handful of stars who own a rival league and need it to succeed financially. Then you've got other top players refusing to take part because they see the conflict of interest. Meanwhile, the owners now have visible proof that the threat isn't real, and the fans are already turning against the product. All this is unfolding in the middle of CBA negotiations, and that combination is a disaster. Add it all up, and what do you get? A complete collapse of the players' negotiating strategy. Here's the harsh reality. The owners now hold every card. They can offer less than what the players originally demanded, fully aware that the so-called alternative league isn't a viable escape route for the stars. They can slow walk negotiations, knowing that the players need the WNBA more than the WNBA needs any single player. And worst of all, they can call every bluff, because that bluff just got exposed for the entire world to see.
No handouts, says Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson, Sophie Cunningham, Sabrina Ionescu. You will not use us as pawns in your negotiations with the league. What do you think about that?
No handouts. That phrase is about to define this entire era of WNBA labor relations. Because what Caitlin Clark, Aya Wilson, and the other top stars are really saying is crystal clear. You don't get to use our names, our brands, and our star power as weapons in a fight we never agreed to. And honestly, that's a fair stance. From their perspective, they've spent years grinding, building their image, elevating women's basketball, becoming household names. Only for a few players they barely know to start a rival league and expect them to risk everything. Their WNBA careers, their endorsement deals, and their relationship with the league they dreamed of playing in. All just to give someone else leverage at the negotiating table. That's not solidarity, that's exploitation. And now, the biggest stars have drawn a clear line in the sand. The question is, what happens next? Does the Players Association have any leverage left? Can they still negotiate a decent CBA without the unrivaled threat? Or did they just lose the only bargaining chip they had? Because one thing's for sure, the owners now know they hold all the power. And this next round of negotiations, it's going to get messy.